This video is intended to describe a lightblade talisman named Stability. Joining me today is my whimsical stick figure chakra map for etheric chakra correspondence stimulation range. And so without further ado, I'll be discussing the primary blade band scaffolding as a preface to illustrate and highlight the redirection of governance of this energy in a contained recirculated circuit, which vaguely resembles a figure 8 for a distinct purpose of being the primary vibratory output, recirculation bandwidth for all the other auxiliary frequencies yet to be mentioned. Obviously quite a bit to cover here as always. So without further ado, I'll be discussing the transmutation ratio seen right here, which is its own quadrant going up like so, laterally like here, up the sides, lateral like so, being its own subcircuit which works as a quadrant of the transmutation ratio. So the aspect of smoky quartz is a fantastic grounder of negativity into positivity by firmly grounding the root chakra into the earth stars, into the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing, in tandem with iron-based hematite seen right here to perform much the same energy stimulation pathway job, if you would, is to take the iron-based firmly grounds all excess energy through the root chakra into the earth and into the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing. Hence, the two in tandem employed are what are considered to be the transmutation ratio for exactly that purpose. Not to mention, with the primary blade band being grounded into it and the apex band, of course, the energy of the blade bands goes grounded directly to here to ignite its sequence before it completes its figure 8 circuit. So the primary blade band, hence its name Stability for a distinct purpose, with extreme highlight of red jasper seen right here, which is the quintessential root chakra stabilizer in the mineral kingdom, quite utilized in antiquity with many different localities, which I will omit just to consolidate the relevant facts to this video. But the aspect of red jasper is it serves as the most stable earth energy to stabilize the root chakra, unparalleled in the mineral kingdom, to be the base scaffolding grounding of atomical stability, which is the big prerogative of this construct. Hence the primary blade band with the clear quartz to work as a neutral ambient subcapacitation to encourage the energy trajectory before redirects here to contain that circuit to a neutral ambient acceleration of the vibration of stability, with red jasper being the primary focus. Then once again going to the transmutation ratio up to the purple lepidolite right here as the apex band. So eventually, of course, this will be where the necklace will be installed, but lepidolite is a very fantastic purple ray water elemental, extreme soother of the mind and the heart simultaneously. So basically, in the mineral kingdom, in my humble opinion of my many diverse endeavors, this is quite simply the most soothing vibratory equivalent crystal in a broadcast sequence, being heavily consistent of both lithium and potassium, both very soothing minerals for the body, hence the utilization of lithium. I'm going to go ahead and admit that and keep going forward, is very well utilized in any kind of anti-anxiety, So that's the aspect right there. I'll leave it right there, is just that this is a very, very tremendously soothing vibration for the very top, to be very complementary to the primary focus of stability. So that'd be the primary blade band discussed quite effectively right now, completing its circuit, which, like I mentioned, will be the containment for the excess other frequencies yet to be mentioned on the blade face and where the hood will be installed to redirect and contain the loose emanations of the other crystals to run the current in a perpetual circuit. So speaking of further stability, so the aspect of stability incorporates the agate and jaspers in each of the elemental correspondences in the most balanced format, which should be consistent to the concepts of the Lakota medicine wheel of earth, fire, water, and wind, to be the most stabilized vibration that is very comprehensive for the human avatar's resonance. So the aspect of fire agate seen right here is the most stable fire vibrational stimulant that stimulates the sacrum, solar plexus, and root chakra, base chakra simultaneously, but most importantly, the most stable variety in the mineral kingdom, which works fantastic, obviously, in tandem with red jasper being the primary focus to tremendously stabilize the root chakra. Then going into blue lace agate, which is a water elemental 5th chakra stabilizer, which is very, very helpful for a very fast-paced mind, such as myself, of course. So I employ this quite frequently for my own endeavors, to be transparent, to be very assisting in bringing these intangible, incredible things into cohesive manner to put into a description video for this purpose. Hence, the heavy utilization is well field tested, and I highly endorse this crystal for whatever that's worth. But the whole point here is that it's a very critical aspect to be the perfect antithesis to the red ray stabilization of the root chakra in tandem with the blue ray stabilization of the fifth, particularly. They make for a perfect antithesis. Very complementary that way. Then at the very top would be grape agate. Grape agate is a purple variety of agate which has a wind elemental correspondence to stabilize the 6th and 7th chakras. Then over here would be moss green agate, the green ray stabilization of the heart chakra through the water elemental spectrum as well. So in the aspect of employing earth, fire, water, and wind in the most stable vibrations in one circuit I get my hands on is the foundational concept of making stability set in stone for this talisman in this dissertation, essentially. And so this whole section right here, after this video is attended to, this leather will be cut appropriately for aesthetically pleasing purposes to wrap like this to work much like a hood. So indeed, this is far more than aesthetics, but indeed is a functional design to A, bring that lovely Jedi brown, reddish kind of lovely brown to be a very lovely brown ray, soothing, grounding vibration for color therapy resonance. B, to also insulate what's underneath the hood right here to encourage less energy leakage between the two blade bands, which is the primary and the auxiliary where the necklace will be hung into, to be more efficient, to contain the energy, to run it through the circuit cleaner, basically, with less energetic leaks. As well as a way to protect these subtle stones seen under here, which is a little vast on both sides right here. And of course, it is definitely a nice aesthetic completion once it's, of course, cut to size and appropriately adhered. It is very nice to have a completed looking construct. So what's under the hood here is the collection of a trinity or a trio of master healers I employ together for a distinct purpose. Starting off with Seraphinite, as well as Star Argonite, and Tibetan Black Quartz. The reason I mention all three without breaking down their stimulation individually is because all three of these work very fantastic to stimulate the entire chakra column from bottom to top for any impediments of a natural healthy flow of energy, and rapidly dismantles patterns of dis-ease from the entire energetic makeup. Is a trio. So all three of them perform that same kind of full light body healing stimulation of basically repairing stagnancies in the energy field from top to bottom. Hence, the trio, all three together, generate significant vibrational compound interest for a very effective healing frequency for the entire auric field. And luckily, that of course is terminated to a very, very stable, soothing platform. Then over here is another amazing oasis of calm generator in this timeline named Larimar, seen right here. So the aspect of Larimar makes for a very fantastic 5th chakra, extreme soothing capacity. Hence, it's perhaps one of the most powerful oceanic clearing capacities in the mineral kingdom, corresponding to the elements of water and fire. Very interesting, because oftentimes the elements are diametrically opposed. So this is quite the fascinating, amazing, soothing frequency in the mineral kingdom for clarity of mind, clarity of heart, and one sovereign truth being highlighted. So it's a very fantastic crystal. At the very apex, right here, would also be a tourmalated quartz. Tourmalated quartz is pretty fantastic stuff due to the fact that it's clear quartz, which, like mentioned, is a neutral ambient energizer of other frequencies around it. But the aspect of the tourmalated quartz is actually black tourmaline found as black bolts inside the clear structure. So black tourmaline is another famous grounder of this age to simply ground the excess energy of the earth to turn negativity into positivity through that simple earth path transmutation wavelength to discharge negativity constantly in the earth is very encouraged by black tourmaline. So when you have that inside the clear core structure, That makes for both a neutral programmable energy accelerant as well as accelerating the black tourmaline inside the quartz to amplify the tourmaline quartz transmutation capacity. And the core of this entire device is actually oak from Sedona, Arizona, which is a very nice place. And where the tree comes from, that it's the donor actually is tapped into the waterways of Sedona, Arizona, which means it has a constant feeding source of water, always going by a consistent river year-round. So it's a very abundant home tree or donor to this construct. Very nice fact. And the aspect I save for last, oftentimes in these videos, is the selenites and the kyanites seen right here on the blade face. So the aspect of selenite by itself is quite the fantastic master healer. It works very diligently to stimulate the 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakras back to one's higher self Godhead, which makes for a very powerful burning of debris of interference between one's conscious self and one's highest self. But the aspect also of that high frequency induction also works as a great transmutation in its own right, with burning stagnant energies through the entire energy field that are not of one's divine essence, essentially. But the capacity of where it really shines in any given spirit tool that is quite simply a necessity for magical excellence, as far as I'm concerned, is the capacity to work in a circuit to take all these crystals in one closed loop reactive circuit of this little guy right here. It can purify all of these crystals consistently. It can also amplify all of these crystals consistently, and perhaps most importantly, also brings harmonization or equilibrium to the entire crystalline group, generating a single vibration, much like organs of this consciousness-assisted crystalline entity before us, to bring, once again, the purification of all the crystals, the amplification, and the harmonization. Equilibrium is a very nice feature utilized in a lightblade construct. And the aspect right here of the black kyanite seen right here is actually quite the critical role as well. So kyanites, for that matter, are perhaps the most rapid transfer of energy in the mineral kingdom based on their color range designation. Since this is black kyanite seen right here, this is the most rapid grounder of energy into the earth meridian matrix I can get my hands on. So it also takes the entire contact patch of this device's vibration and gives it a fast direction through the root chakra into the earth stars. I'm doing this very whimsically fast to try to illustrate the concept of black kyanite, taking this entire construct, serving as a surge protector to rapidly ground this energy of the earth very rapidly, so that it works like etheric Teflon as well to mitigate bombardments of psychic stimuli to hit the system, then instantly discharge it before it can actually stick and cause malfunctions or stagnations that can be very taxing on the conscious self, particularly when the recipient is a very high yield, empathetic, sentient being in that capacity. So it works like a great insulation of energy as well, and most importantly, a surge protector to ensure that the energy is always grounding through at a very rapid rate to ensure the high yield transmutation by grounding to the earth is very highlighted at all times. That's perhaps one of the most critical components of this device, to take that entire stabilized contact patch with soothing capacities and firmly ground it into the earth to further fortify the transmutation as well as make the magic real in that capacity. And this might be one of the shortest videos I've done on a talisman in many moons. It's only about 13.5 minutes by the time I've concluded. So in summary, this obviously is a talisman designed to be worn on the person. It very, not as obtrusive as bigger talismans, for example, to be a nice background stabilization buffer for the entire auric field and the spectrums of earth, fire, water, and wind, to bring stabilized continuity and to make a very nice energetic shielding to encourage a harmonized frequency pitch of healing. And one thing actually I did omit, quite important, a little embarrassing at this point in the video, is the infinitite. So infinitite is a very special variety of serpentine, which serpentine by itself is a very fantastic full light body stimulant that works as a nice kundalini accelerant, the serpentine energy, which is very conducive to full energetic continuity harmonization. But the aspect of infinitite plays a critical role to work to decrystallize habitual stagnant patterns that would be impeding a healthy flow. So that's very nice. But another thing also that's quite critical about the employment of infinitite seen right here is the capacity also to further bring an etheric shield or a energetic insulator that will prevent defrazzling of energy fields from extreme energetic bombardment that can overwhelm the system for highly sensitive psychic capacities. So in that capacity, it also works as a great agent to further shield the energy of this comprehensive construct with a very strong stability backbone. With many a healer designed to bring very harmonious vibrations and stabilize them and bring extreme soothing in that capacity. So that would be, now I'm getting back to my conclusion after I somehow omitted this guy. My goodness, maybe I need stability. Jeez. It's just me cracking jokes, of course, but the aspect of this whole construct, to back to a serious note, is that it's developed to be a very stabilized, full spectrum, shielding, healing device, but most importantly, very much the in-the-body experience, not a very high, intensive psychic stimulant, yet a very stabilized background frequency to encourage grounded vibrations primarily and a soothing oasis energy shield, if you would, while this is being wielded by the recipient in that capacity, which is very, very advantageous for those who are highly energetically sensitive in this crazy world we live in. So, that would be it. 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us all.